So this is the thing, and this will probably continue to be an emotional through line for the rest of the year when it comes to Bad Idea. We are very excited about the content that Bad Idea is putting out. A lot of the specifics about how they're distributing, including our role in that, is bringing out some of the worst aspects of shoppers in 2021.
This goes out to the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
No matter what time of day it is, there will be, if it's like a nerd-centric show, there will be a little explainer on like, oh, here's what this thing is. So if you didn't watch it right away, that headline could probably ruin parts of the episode for you.
Do you assume that a lot of these sites already got review copies? Because some of the sites that I saw were already posting reviews to episode 3.
Yeah, I think
before today.
Most review sites, I think, got the first 3 episodes.
Okay.
Is what they were given by Disney. But even in general, like, if you're a TV reviewer for like a nerd site, you're probably going to watch it as soon as it goes up because your audience is going to want to know about it and talk about it and do all the other stuff immediately.
I find that I'm the opposite, that I don't want to know anything about it until I've seen it. And since I work for a living, I'm not going to watch it until that night. And, and my question earlier to you was, I don't remember, did movie reviews spoil things day of release? You know, obviously, movies started to slow release some Wednesdays, mainly Thursdays, especially in a bigger city.
Yeah.
But on a Friday morning, would they say, hey, here's what happened in Rise of the Skywalker?
There were Marvel movies that I remember there being on Thursday night. If they opened in theaters nationwide Thursday, by Thursday night, there would be a number of articles where it's like, let's explain what happened in that post-credit sequence, or here's the comic history of this character.
And would they name the character in the headline to ruin it if it was a surprise?
That's the thing. Like, if it was like a huge surprise, they'd probably do a thing of like, let's talk about that spoiler character from whatever movie.
Wait,
and then you'd have
spoiler from Batman comics?
Do that all the time. Then you'd have to scroll down through the article past like an introductory paragraph where it'll say spoiler warning, and then it'll say, hey, here's the character who showed up in this movie, and here's what their deal is. But in general, like, one of the things about WandaVision that's sort of bothering me is there will be things where it's like, hey, we want to talk about this tiny detail where it's like, I get that you want to talk about that tiny detail because it has a larger relevance to people who don't read the comics. But to people who do read the comics, you might as well just wave a flag saying, this is what's happening in the episode. This is where it's going. And that's my fault for kind of knowing what they're talking about. But it's similar to like, if you were staying away from a Batman storyline, and in the Batman storyline, a Legion of Superheroes member shows up. If we were talking about Batman and you hadn't read it, and I went, hey, did you ever read much of the Legion of Superheroes comic? Then you'd be like, well, now I know that there's a Legion thing coming up, and I can...
What did you think of Invisible Kid? Just make a conversation.
If I know the storyline, I can kind of put those two things together in a way where if you hadn't put that out there, I wouldn't have thought that was going to be where the story was going to go.
Especially
that's what happens
if talking to you, that would be a way you'd be leading me to get to somewhere on my own, but if, not intentionally trying to spoil it.
Right.
But I think a lot of the difference is that growing up, journalistic newspapers didn't do this because they were reviews. They weren't telling you about the story. They were reviewing the film.
And let's be clear, they also didn't give a shit.
Sure.
Like, this is the rise of, like, nerd culture and SEO stuff, where it's just like, we need to get attention, we need to get clicks, we need to get all this stuff.
What's SEO?
Search engine optimization. It's basically kind of gaming the system to get more people viewing your site.
And that's the point I was going to make, is that none of these sites are journalistic sites. They're just nerd sites. Yeah. And anybody could write for any site with no credibility. And I say this as somebody, as 2 people who used to write for a wrestling website.
And I have no credibility.
I mean, we have no... journalistic background.
No.
I technically do quotes because I took courses through high school and college, and I worked on my high school newspaper. But I assure you that when I was writing Velocity recaps, I didn't use any journalistic integrity or structure that I was taught in school.
Yeah.
It was all just stream of consciousness. It's basically an opinion column.
Yeah.
That's also offering facts of how things happen, and also facts through my own lens. I would describe a match the way I describe a match, not
Right. And
in real time.
to be fair, that's a different thing. Like, a journalist isn't a reviewer. Those are kind of two different skill sets in two different fields. Like,
but I wasn't even a reviewer. I was a recapper.
but even that, like, that's a sense of reviewing. Like, you are giving your thoughts and opinions on something.
But my point is, I don't think there's any difference between that which you're describing
Right.
and I'm going to dare say the majority of entertainment sites you have in your feed.
Right, but that stuff isn't even trying to work under the pretense of, like, let's talk about a piece of art. It's all just, here's a factoid, a small piece of information, or an explainer on something that's basically like, if to bring it to WandaVision, like, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but it's no different than, like, all the people who would do, here's everything that Wanda and Vision went through in the comic series. Like,
Sure.
Here's everything I remember about that. So it's not specifically about the show, and it's not even, like, opinion. It's not trying to recontextualize that and talk about their relationship in the comics or talk about the good stories and the bad stories. It's literally just, here is Wikipedia entries. Here is just information. And mixed in with that, because it's, nerd culture stuff, is here's rumors and here's fan theories and here's
Speculation.
yeah, all this stuff. Like, it's the electrons swirling around everything that comes about when Marvel Studios releases a project.
I don't read comic book reviews. I don't go to comic book review sites. I don't feel I need to because I read a whole bunch of comics and I don't necessarily care about other opinions. There is one email newsletter that I get weekly that has reviews in it, and the most I'll look at is the rating they gave it, and it's purely to see if I agree or disagree with them.
Oof.
Mainly because I know the people reviewing the books.
Sure.
And most of the time it's like, really? I find that my tastes and opinions are in direct opposition to most of these.
Sure. I would say that I am like you. I don't really seek out any other review sites and things like that, mostly because I spend all day, 4 days a week, talking to people about books and getting their opinions and sharing my opinions. So the idea of doing that on my time off is of no interest to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, that said, I do like talking to people about things that I'm interested in and hearing what they think about the things that we're both interested in. Obviously, I'm on several fan sites and for non-comic stuff, and I like
Several even.
And I like talking to folks about that stuff. I like having discussions about those things. So I see the value in that for sure. But I mean, the idea of, like, reading professionally written reviews and stuff for comics is of no interest to me. And I do like hearing some analysis of TV shows and movies and video games and things like that. But there's a very small band of people and sites that I'm like, they're worth my time. I'll read stuff on Kotaku or on Polygon because I like
I feel
the way they approach
Polygon
that
probably
content.
has a level of integrity that a lot of other sites don't.
I think so.
I go to a website every single day called blabbermouth.net, and it is a heavy metal website, and I mainly go to it to find out what bands I like have new releases, or who's this new band.
Sure.
Literally last night, there was an article about a longtime metal guitarist. I can't remember the band he was in. A solo album he has. Don't even know if it's his first one or not. But if they ever have, basically, if any band has a song, link, YouTube video, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever,
Right.
I'll play the song.
Cool.
And I played this guy's song. I'm like, this is good. I like this. He's got such a foreign name that I thought I would have difficulty finding this in stores. So I went right to iTunes and plugged it in, and the album came up, and I sampled other songs, and I bought it on the spot.
Okay.
And I listened to it for half the day today, and it's real good.
That's great.
And that is why I go to that site to find out things I don't know. But I'm not even if they'd reviewed it, I wouldn't care. What I'm looking for is the classification of...
Yeah. Who is this? Where were they from? What does it sound like?
I had sent a Soilwork video to our patron and my longtime friend Robert Burns, because he just said, "Oh, I'm listening to this," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm listening to this." When I was cutting up boxes on Thursday,
Okay.
like, I'm listening to Soilwork's "A Whisper of the Atlantic," And he listened to it and said, actually, this is pretty decent. Would you call this prog? I'm like, no, this is melodic doom. But that's what I look for in Blabbermouth articles, is for them to say, hey, this Norwegian death metal band, then I'm like, I'm out.
Right.
Like, I'm not even going to try. I know
Sure.
you're giving me what I'm looking for. So I'm not even looking for their reviews, because reviews are just
You
taste.
just want a classification.
Yeah, but reviews are subjective. They're not
was,
objective.
Yeah, oh, for sure. But I mean, yeah. There was a magazine, 20 years ago probably.
Wizard?
15, 20 years ago. It was a music magazine. Was it CMJ? CMJ Monthly?
Yeah.
And they would do, they'd cover a ton of music, and they would do kind of capsule reviews back in the smaller section of their reviews. They would do full pages for certain
CMJ
albums.
is the country music journal, right? That's what you were a big fan
I
of?
hope not. And then they do half-page reviews for some other albums, and then you get to the back pages, and they would do like 6 capsule reviews on one page. And the thing that they would always do that I loved was, even for the capsule reviews, they'd be like, here's an album, here's 3 paragraphs about, how it is, here's maybe a numerical review, but they'd always do like, here's the genre it goes in, here's 3 other bands that it
if you
sounds
like
these,
to
us.
Try this.
So I would just scroll through that section and not even read the reviews, but just be like, if I saw a band name that I liked and recognized, I'd be like, okay, now, who is this other band that they sound like? And I found a bunch of really fun stuff back in the day on that. And I miss kind of having a music website like that where I could really find the stuff that's for me. Like, my tastes are so weird and bad and specific that it's hard for me to find a specific site that can really do that. Like, AV Club covers some stuff and Pitchfork covers some stuff, but like, I don't overlap
I like
with a lot
the
of that
disdain in your
anymore.
voice when you say that, especially when you say Pitchfork. Like,
Because
I like what Pitchfork likes.
like it. Well, no, and that's the thing. I don't. And like, I like the stuff that Pitchfork liked 8 years ago. They don't like any of that stuff anymore because that's not how Pitchfork operates.
Sure.
They're done with that. That is garbage music for children now. They have evolved beyond that because it's been a whole 8 years. So a lot of what they cover and review and what they enjoy are things where I'm like, I don't care about this.
It's funny you say that. In my head, and kind of out loud before we were recording, I was singing an Adamant song called Young, Dumb, and Full of It. And I was remembering how when I was like a sophomore in high school, Adamant was like cutting edge, subversive, and the kind of thing that your parents would hate.
Sure.
And really like the leader, not the leader, but one of the leaders of the post-punk movement. And would just do like, hey, he performs this concert standing in a giant tank of water.
Sure, as you do.
As you do. Like things like that. And now anyone today listening to that specific song or his later albums would just be like, what is this, AOR? Like, this has put me to sleep.
I could hear this on 93.9.
Yeah. So it's
this is what you listen to in a dentist's waiting room.
The same way the comics that you read when you're a kid are the things you always harken back to, but are so tame by today's comparisons.
Yeah, there's definitely some Marvel stuff where, in the 80s it was like, ooh, edgy, and now it's like, you could put that in a collection for 11-year-olds.
And they do.
They do.
And they do. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
So I want to point out that this episode of Contest of Challengers is brought to you by On the Rocks Cocktails. Not because they're paying us, but because Gina and I split a bottle of their Mai Tai right before this, and it was delicious.
Well, that's good.
Lovely coconut aftertaste. Just, man.
Cool.
Really well done. I enjoyed it greatly.
A nice trip to the islands.
One bottle is a good 2-person drink.
Okay.
Yeah, liked it a lot. And as you most likely gathered from the start of this, Dal and I have watched WandaVision. Not
just the
episode
first
2.
Just
not episode 3, I mean.
Yeah, just the first.
Not the second night of... Yeah, and it's an interesting discussion with people to talk about that.
I feel like everyone's really liked it. I think I've been on the lower end of enjoying it. I thought it was good, but it wasn't.
This is like Wonder Woman 84,
exciting.
but reversed. You're the one who liked it, and everyone else trashed it.
Kind of.
And now everyone else likes WandaVision, and you don't like it as much as you wanted to.
Yeah. Intellectually, I like it a lot. Emotionally, it did not do a lot for me in the first 2.
They're in love, Dal. What do you have against that?
Oh, she's Sokovian and he's a robot? And I'm super prejudiced against both of those things?
Is it because, as a massive robot fan, she's not good enough for him?
No, I mean, I'm prejudiced against both of those things. I don't believe either of them deserve
No,
one.
you're not. You are, this is well documented, you are a huge robot fan.
But I guess I should have been more specific. He's a synthezoid,
Yeah.
and that's way worse.
Okay.
That's gross. That is an affront against God and robots. And she's Sokovian, and you know how they are.
Mainly dead.
Oof.
I mean,
No, a bunch of them got out. I think basically everybody got out. That was the whole thing.
not enough of them. Why are there Accords then?
Why are there Accords?
Accords.
Accords. Oh, the Sokovian Accords?
Yeah.
They still kind of destroyed a city. So that's not great.
But in your mind,
they don't things in that city.
they don't deserve that city. They should be living under it.
The Sokovians?
Yeah.
That ship has sailed.
We should stop that before people get angry at you for your fictitious beliefs.
For my horrible beliefs against a fake country and its fake people.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll risk it.
You're so fake racist.
Uh-huh.
We had someone in today who was asking about Bad Idea comics. And,
No comment.
well, see, that's just it. My defenses immediately went up.
Uh-huh.
But the reason he was asking is he's a huge Matt Kint fan
Sure.
and wants ENIAC because he heard about ENIAC and he loves Matt Kint.
And we had some of that on Wednesday where people were just like, what is Bad Idea? I saw your Instagram post. Like, what's the deal? And having to switch over to, like, outgoing promotional attitude towards Bad Idea instead of the why are you making my life difficult Bad Idea is... It's definitely hard to do.
Almost whiplash inducing.
It is. Like like you said, your guard gets up and it's like, why? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, because you're excited about reading comics. I'm not used to having that discussion about Bad Idea books.
Yeah, and then it's like, hey man, here, take this preview book. There might be more stuff you like in it.
Uh-huh.
And Matt Kint isn't just doing one book for them, he's doing a couple.
Sure.
What are the other ones? I don't remember off the top of my head. Sorry. I know that the hero trade will be reprinted in the back of ENIAC 3, so you'll get to see that.
Right.
And it's such a backpedal.
It is, yeah.
I routinely...
It's like you feel like you've been insulted, and then you have to be like, oh, wait, no, you weren't insulting me. I feel bad now. I'm sorry. Oh, no.
And you are almost insulting them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the bad guy.
I feel that this is a thing that I go through often, especially on Free Comic Book Day, where I am so dialed into people try to take advantage of the rules, not paying attention, or
That is
trying to put one over on you.
That is something you do on Free Comic Book Day.
And it rarely ever happens. Like, it's at the end of each comic book day, I'm like, oh, it was only a handful of things, and, you know, out of 1,000 people, I got angry at 5 of them.
Right.
Those odds are amazing.
That's great.
So I'm always a little bit over. Seriously, how can I get a stand goal circle closed? I'm
You raised
sitting
your arm
here,
too high.
I guess.
I guess.
So that is the same kind of attitude I have, and that's what we had for putting all those preview books out.
Uh-huh.
And it's amazing to me. We're going to backpedal and talk about this in more detail for people who don't know what we're talking about. But that's the part that blows my mind, is so many people don't know what we're talking about, and we're so entrenched in this industry and in Bad Idea specifically, and in the culture around it, that when we have this 2-foot by 6-foot display for Bad Idea books, and a regular comes in and says, "Hey, what's Bad Idea about?" I'm just like, how do you not know?
Yeah, and I mean, some of it is also there's a disproportionate effect of we're getting so many phone calls and emails and stuff on social media about, you know, people trying to get more copies and trying to get any copies and trying to get preview books that it definitely feels unreal that someone could be like to not know about. And we've had that happen with any number of like hot books for the week, where someone will just come in a few weeks later and be like, oh, I heard that there's a new Star Wars comic. Do you guys have Star Wars High Republic? And we'd have to go, no, we sold out the day it came out. Like, that's... Or you're going to be getting more? I mean, there's a third print. That's how fast they've been selling out.
Yeah.
And it's... You kind of have to remember, like, oh, some people are not doing this because they need to flip it right away. They're doing it because they are...
Generally interested in reading about this book that they didn't...
Yeah, they're engaged with this premise, and they're like, oh, I guess I'll go to the store and get it. And it's... I mean, in a way, it's similar to like someone going, "Hey, I heard there's a new PlayStation. Can I get that from this Best Buy?" And having Best Buy go, "No, what? No."
See, I kind of hate that that's a thing where you can't just buy something at your leisure. Me personally, trying to buy a gift for you for Christmas, did the whole, well, I want to buy these two things, and I'll wait, and the second one doesn't come out for a week, so I'll wait a week and get them both at the same time, only to find out the first one was sold out across the city. And I hate that the culture is you have to pounce on it or you don't get it. And we feed into that. Like, we are definitely like, oh, you didn't pre-order the Star Wars book, you can't get it. But in our defense, we ordered significantly more than we thought we were going to need.
Sure.
We just didn't realize the demand for it.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, it's going to sound stupid me saying this running a comic shop that sells print edition comic books. You can just buy it digitally. I mean, for video games, for comics, if someone's like, I want to read the Star Wars comic, it's not like, well, you can't get it. We're sold out. Go online. You can just buy it for $3.99 or $4.99 or whatever it costs. Obviously, it's not the case with the Bad Idea stuff, and that's what's driving a lot of the speculator stuff, is that, above and beyond just, I want to flip this thing for a bunch of money, there are people who are like, I'm a huge Matt Kindt fan. I want to read a Matt Kindt comic.
And I want to point out that if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about with Bad Idea, look back in the archives from like a year ago. We did a podcast all about it.
Short version is it's a bunch of guys that used to run at and work at Valiant.
At lunch they run at Valiant.
They ran right at it. Valiant and then left that company to go do some multimedia stuff, and now they've got a comic company called Bad Idea. Bad Idea is a kind of a boutique publisher. It's doing a small amount of comics, and they are not releasing those through Diamond. They're doing their own distribution, and they're capping the number of stores that can order Bad Idea stuff at a very low number. I think it's below 200
It's
now.
154 according to the poster.
That's what they have on the poster. I don't know if that's still accurate.
Yeah.
It's below 200 worldwide, and we are one of the Bad Idea stores. We're one of two in Chicago. And
Technically 3.
Is it 3? Okay.
I mean, if you count,
I wouldn't. I would say that's 3 in Illinois.
Okay.
And yeah, so as one of those stores, like, we are going to be carrying Bad Idea stuff, and you can't buy Bad Idea stuff digitally. They're not selling direct to consumers. They're not doing collections. So if you want to read ENIAC as a story, you have to go to a Bad Idea destination store or order from them online to get a copy. And even then, you're limited to 1 copy per person. So it's not like you can just buy a bunch of copies for your quote-unquote friends that every speculator has. A whole group of friends that desperately need copies that can't get to the store today.
As a retailer and as a fan, I love everything that you just said. I love all the aspects of it.
Okay.
However, let me just say I love the idea, the bad idea of it all. But the fact that they're doing it that way is making the demand for, like, making the secondary market demand for it insane, which was something that we didn't think was going to be a case, or we foolishly didn't think it was going to be a case.
I think we assumed it was going to be books that were in demand, but our hope when we had pitched ourselves as a Bad Idea store, because it wasn't just like someone came to us and said, hey, do you want to carry Bad Idea books? We went to them. This wasn't dropped in our lap or forced upon us.
Yeah,
we actively sought it out. The hope was that there would be people who were excited about the comics, and that may yet be the case. But unfortunately, a lot of what we're getting from people who are pre-ordering books and are excited about books is very, very much built around the collectability aspect. These are people who are going to be buying these books and are either, for all I know, pre-listing them on eBay. I haven't even thought to look, but probably some fans out there. Stores can't. We can offer pre-orders. We can't ship anything out until the day of release. That's one of the rules.
We can't offer it for anything above cover price for 30 days.
Yeah. So, like, if we were to offer it, it would be like $3.99 or whatever they call it.
Also, I want to point out, as a quick sidebar right now, David Harper, if you're listening, this is the exact point you texted me asking if I could answer some questions, and I can't right now because my phone is being used for this recording.
Okay. What if we just end the podcast here so you can text with David Harper?
I mean...
I could go get dinner. I'm fine.
Why don't you give me your phone so I can text him?
We already did all the Adam Ant stuff.
That's true. But this is the week that we put up our Bad Idea display, and we designated the shelf that it's going to be on, because there's a bunch of hoops retailers have to jump through, and different special treatments we have to give Bad Idea, which we're fine with.
Yeah, we agreed to all of it.
Yeah, we did. We agreed to all of it. One of the things I'm not too keen with is they're sending us a counter dump that we have to have on our counter forever.
Yeah.
And it'll be there, but it'll be in our way. But anyway, So we set it up. We set up the display, and it got a lot of people wanting to get the preview book. And the preview book we're treating the same as everything else, one per person.
Sure.
And the highlight of the week for both of us was someone who was getting rung up on Wednesday and noticed that there was a slight crease in their 8-page
In their
Bad Idea.
giveaway preview comic book.
And they had to stop the transaction so they could run to the shelf
And switch
get
it
another
for
one.
a better one.
Yeah.
To get a more minty copy of their giveaway preview book.
And we both stopped.
I was ringing the guy up, and I was just like, I literally could not believe what was happening.
You said you need to get a different preview book, and we both did the dramatic head turn to stare at each other. Can you believe this?
I was looking for the documentary camera to do my Jim face.
Yeah. There you go.
To just lock eyes with the camera and be like, you're seeing this too, right? So this is the thing, and this will probably continue to be an emotional through line for the rest of the year when it comes to Bad Idea. We are very excited about the content that Bad Idea is putting out. A lot of the specifics about how they're distributing, including our role in that, is bringing out some of the worst aspects of shoppers in 2021. It is, oh my God, it doesn't take a lot. And that's the thing, through the day, we had a bunch of other people who were coming in. Clearly, the first thing they hit, they knew right where the Bad Idea preview comics were, and they grabbed it right away before they went to the new This Week section. And that's fine, and people coming in specifically for it, we're a destination store. That's the destination. Great,
and we
fine.
did put it on all of our social medias that we had it so people could come get it.
But all it really takes is one or two guys like that, where it's I regret doing this. I like the guys at Bad Idea, and we're going to be carrying their books. There have already been two how do I want to phrase this? Two almost rock bottom moments with Bad Idea stuff so far in 2021, where I've said maybe we don't want to carry. I've already thrown out the hypothetical of what if we just didn't order the books? What can they do? What contract did we sign? The only penalty is you can't carry Bad Idea books, and if we're we don't want to, then okay, that seems like a win-win. And that sucks that people have already brought me to that point. I will harp on this until the end of time as a counterpoint to Patrick's. A guy needed a more mint copy of a giveaway comic book.
Yeah.
We had someone who for Bad Idea lives in another country and emailed us about subscribing to Bad Idea books, and we said sure, we're willing to do that. And then
you're paying the postage to get to your country.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not shipping international, and they're like, well, you can ship it to a family member in Florida, and then I'm like, all right, fine. And they're like, how do I do this? I'm like, well, here's the form on our website. Just fill it out, give us the information, list of the books you want, and we're good. All they ordered was Bad Idea stuff. All they ordered was issue 1 of Bad Idea stuff. All they ordered was 10 copies of each issue 1 of Bad Idea stuff. And right there, it's okay, that's horrifying. That all you want is 10 copies of each first issue. You don't want any Act 2 or 3 or 4. You literally just want every first issue they've announced for the rest of the year, and then 10 copies of each. And we had to come back and go, okay, well, there's a limit of 1 per person, so you're not going to get 10 copies. And then they're like, okay, fine, I'll just get 1 of each. And then I want to say a follow-up email was, do you guys have an account with the CGC that I can get these graded before you send them out?
Yeah.
So they literally did not even want to read the book. They just wanted sealed, slabbed, graded copies of comics. And I just thought, this is my nightmare.
And didn't you also say, oh, by the way, you can't just order number 1s, you have to order the full series?
I don't know if I did. At that point, my brain was already well, we're not doing mail order fees anymore.
Yeah.
That was literally the next day I had a conversation with you where I said, we are not doing mail order subscriptions for Bad Idea stuff anymore. I'll put it on the website. They'll be on the website the Saturday after they come out, same way all our new releases are.
And they can order them after the fact, sure.
And for sure. And you can order a single issue, but I don't like the idea of doing these subscriptions for people that are going to be a pain in my ass, because they are 100% going to be can you please pack it perfectly because I'm going to need this to grade out at a 9.8 or above. And it's you genuinely don't care what's inside this comic. I don't want to deal with this. This is not how I want to live my life. This isn't what I opened a store for. And that's the kind of friction of what's going on with the Bad Idea stuff, is that as much as I'm excited about the content, I feel like I'm the only one who is.
And I want to make it clear again that the whole point of the way Bad Idea is releasing their books is to
Embrace
prioritize the in-store experience. Yeah, about going to your comic store and buying a comic to read a comic.
Yeah, which is why it's pretty much going to reach a point pretty quickly. I went through and I turned off. We don't even have a front-facing version of the Square storefront, but people are still finding ways to do the ENIAC 1-4 offer that we put up a year ago.
Yeah, someone found it today.
And I turned that off because I'm like, we're not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this. It's some of it is the problem of this was all conceived in a world without COVID, where the point was you have to go to a store to get it. Now it's like, well, it's hard to do that without potentially dying. And I don't want to create a lot of barriers where people have to decide between getting Bad Idea books or living. I don't want that to be on my conscience. I can't live with that. So all of that mixed in with all of the collector speculator stuff, where it's these key collector apps and all that other stuff, and YouTube reviewers that are basically like the thing for the Bad Idea preview comic that was causing people to need minty copies of it. It's a $12 book online. So this isn't just a thing of like, oh, I'm excited to read about this book, or oh, this is scarce and I want to get a copy. It's like we had $12 bills that were just sitting on a shelf that you could grab one of.
Yeah.
So of course people are going to want to grab one. It's $12. And the fact that happened before we even put them on the shelves is, again, a thing of just, I hate the way this market works. If I were Bad Idea, I'd almost say, you should not embrace the direct market. It is a nightmare. It is a cesspool of opportunists. And I don't love the way that making anything fun immediately becomes devalued by being overvalued. Like, it sucks. Every week it sucks. And yeah, the Bad Idea stuff, I want people to read the books. Do we want to talk about the contests?
So that was going to be my next question to you. Do
Yes.
you want to talk about it?
Let's talk about the contests.
Or do you want me to drop in the audio from the video right here?
If you think the audio is good enough, I guess it probably is. It was.
Oh, I mean, it's entirely up to you, because you're the one that has to do all the talking, because this was your...
I'll do it. I'll just talk about
Okay.
it real fast. So when is the video going to go up? Is it up already?
No, I haven't edited it.
Okay. Well, there's a video that's going to go up.
It'll be this weekend sometime.
Okay. There's a video that's going to go up sometime this weekend.
I mean, we have months for this contest, so
Yeah.
not in a huge hurry.
No, of course. Well, I mean, some of it is...
It's just that, look, I made
Yes.
a fun little video for our... I don't even know if I want to give it away. There's not a lot to highlight about what the store is doing lately because, pandemic and whatnot.
Sure.
But we are turning 13 in 2 months.
Oh, really?
So I made a little
Officially teenagers.
13 video
Oh, that's nice.
that was going to debut then.
Is it just George?
Yeah, it's real good. It's real short, but it
That is
includes
such an inside joke. Like, literally 3 people are going to get that.
it includes the new video opening that we have.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then I couldn't decide if I wanted to put that on the front of the Bad Idea contest, but I kind of wanted to save it for...
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on the Bad Idea one.
Okay.
I would jump right into the Bad Idea one with talking about it to go as quickly as we can with it.
Well, there's going to be a faded transition from like a Bad Idea logo
Okay.
to Dal Bush saying things like this.
So, a few months ago, word got out that Bad Idea had stealth launched with Hero Trade, The Hero Trade, a comic by, Matt Kent, Dave Lapham?
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and say we didn't get any. Technically, there's a chance that we did and we didn't know what it was and it got tossed. Or our mail is bad. So we can frequently have things where tracking information says, you got it. And we can go, we definitely did not.
Today, at the end of the day, I got an email saying that, this Anne Boleyn album from one of their live streams, it's on its way. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's great. I got it this morning.
Yeah. Or we've had things where it's like, it was delivered at 8 o'clock on a Thursday. Like, cool, we close at 5 o'clock on a Thursday. It definitely was not. But anyway, long story short, we did not get copies, and we had a ton of requests for it. People who were like, just throw one aside for me. I'm down for all the Bad Idea stuff. Or are you going to be auctioning it off? Or can I get a copy? And this thing was skyrocketing in value, like, within minutes. Like, it was the worst Tuesday I've worked in a while because I had to field emails and phone calls all day of people who did not understand that this was not just something where Bad Idea had given us, 50 copies or whatever to give out, or that we'd ordered 120 copies to sell. This was something where most stores got one, if that, and then, like, a few stores got a few more than that. I think in an ICV2 article, Adam Freeman says that they sent out, like, maybe 35 copies above and beyond the one per stores.
Yeah. So maybe 200 copies
Yeah.
went out.
Yeah, so this was not a thing that everybody had, let alone had multiples of to give to all the people at their stores who were excited about Bad Idea
But I'm
books.
down for all Bad Idea books.
Somebody had, one of my favorite emails was I assume you already put one aside because I said I wanted all Bad Idea stuff, and I had to go, that's not what this is.
Technically, that isn't even a Bad Idea book.
Right.
Nowhere on it does it say Bad Idea.
Right. That's why it was a stealth launch. So we didn't have Hero Trades. Until today, where we have a copy of the Hero Trade. And we have it in hand. Not literally as I'm saying this, but we physically have held a copy of the Hero Trade.
I was going to grab this copy of Future State Aquaman #1 and rub it in their microphone and say, see, it's in hand.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Patrick's rubbing his
here's
greasy fingers, his oily fingers all over
the
it.
pages flipping.
Folding it in half. We have a copy of the Hero Trade. And that is... Patrick, how much does that go for now?
Oh, gosh. I forgot what we said, like $1,000.
It's like a $1,000 book. On eBay, that thing's going for around $1,000. People are asking for substantially more than that, but they're not necessarily getting it. They're usually closing at around $700 to $1,000. So it's a $1,000 comic that we have in hand. And
so that's like an extra government stimulus check for one of us.
Exactly. That's been bisected by mail carriers. So it's a $1,000 book. And, obviously, we could flip it. We could sell it online. We could put it on eBay. We could get it slabbed and try and sell it for more. $1,000. I could use $1,000. The thing is, what we could use more at this point is people picking up their subscriptions. So we are going to be...
Hey, Dal, what if we had a contest
Contest?
where somebody could just
A contest from challengers.
get this book for free?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a raffle. The raffle is called It's Never a Bad Idea to Pick Up Your Subscriptions. And how it basically works is this. Anyone who has an in-store subscription for ENIAC, who within a month after the end of ENIAC 4 has subscribed to and picked up all 4 issues of ENIAC alongside the rest of their subscriptions, you will automatically be entered in a drawing to win our copy of the Hero Trade. It's that simple. You don't have
your copy of the Hero Trade.
Yes. You don't have to do anything besides picking up your books. You don't have to fill out anything or say you want to be entered.
Automatically entered, so long as at the time we go to do this drawing, which, what do we say, was June? Theoretically June?
I mean, we're just saying like a month after the release of ENIAC 4. There will be more details once we have ENIAC 4 come out. We'll basically say you have until X day to pick up your subscriptions, but I'm not doing that now because literally... all of the movies in 2020 just got rescheduled in the last 2 days. No one knows when anything's happening. I'm not betting on anything sticking to any ship date. So yeah, we'll be doing that. So you have, some time to still sign up for ENIAC for an in-store subscription. Again, I can't stress this enough. In-store subscription, you got to come pick it up. So that's what we're doing with Hero Trade.
So yeah, what if you are in the system just for ENIAC? You're still entered?
That's fine.
So long as you buy all 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you can pick them up. Yeah.
You don't have to ask us to be entered. You don't have to. No. But basically,
you're automatically entered.
It's there's a deadline for entry, and that is the day, like March 3rd, technically.
Sure.
Because what if you sign up for it when number 2 comes out?
Here's the hard truth. I don't really feel like I'm going to want to do a ton of the math to figure out who added ENIAC between issues 1 and 4.
Okay.
So the hard truth is, if you want to scam us on it and buy I'm going to check the system to see that people bought all 4 ENIACs.
Okay.
When you bought them, how you bought them, I'm not going to be that fine-tooth comb with it.
But subscribers, people that had subscribed to
it.
Yes,
but I'm only going to be checking on subscribers.
If you just picked up off the shelf,
nope.
We're not tracking those sales by person.
Yeah, you cannot win this one for doing that. You've got to be a subscriber.
We're tracking those sales, just not by person.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to be a subscriber. I have to have a record of you having a subscription to ENIAC and picking up all 4 copies of ENIAC by the time we do the drawing. So that's what we're doing with the Hero Trade. And as Patrick just mentioned, if you're picking it up off the shelf, you can't really enter this drawing. And I understand that for any number of reasons, people might not want a subscription to ENIAC. They might not want a subscription with Challengers, and I don't want to judge people. That's fine. Everyone makes their own decisions. So, it may sound slightly unfair that you don't have a chance to win this book if you are a Bad Idea collector. And yeah, I mean, for the other one, I want people picking up their subscriptions, honestly, more than I want $1,000. $1,000 would be nice, but people regularly picking up their subscriptions is a much greater improvement to my quality of life than $1,000 would be.
And I gotta tell you, as of right now, your chance of winning this, theoretically, so long as you buy all the books, you're at basically 1 in 30.
It's really good. You have a really good chance of winning this book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, again, the main thing for us is this is a stress in my life, and I would like to use this $1,000 book that we have to alleviate some of that stress. And along those lines, that copy of the Hero Trade that's spoken for, that's the subscriber one. We have a second copy of the Hero Trade.
What? 2?
And so we're going to be doing a different raffle. And that one is called It's Never a Bad Idea to Read Your Comics. As mentioned, I am slightly frustrated to intensely frustrated by the ways that people are looking at Bad Idea books as stacks of 20s, basically.
Yeah.
Instead of as stories that creative people have worked very hard on, and publisher has gone out of their way to provide those creators with the financial and moral and emotional support to create works of art. The idea that people are never going to look at them and that are going to buy them and probably sell them on their phones while they're in the store buying them is, again, it's my nightmare. That's definitely something that would make me want to shut Challengers down for good. So we're going to be doing another raffle. It's Never a Bad Idea to Read Your Comics. And how you enter that one is a little bit more complicated.
There's no steps.
There's basically
rules.
3 pieces of documentation we're going to need when you enter the contest. And the contest will open the day ENIAC 4 comes out, and it will close a month after ENIAC 4 comes out.
So the same time as the other contest.
Yeah. How it works is this. The first piece of documentation you need is a receipt showing that you bought at least 1 issue of ENIAC from us. We would prefer that you buy all 4 from us, but I don't expect people to say 4 months worth of receipts. It's fine. Just 1 receipt saying, hey, I bought ENIAC at Challengers on this day. That's 1 piece of documentation that you need to enter. The second piece of documentation that you need to enter is a photograph of you holding all 4 issues of ENIAC unslabbed.
Unbagged and boarded?
I mean, it can't be... You can be bagged and boarded if you want, but it can't be in a graded slab. It can't be CGC'd. They gotta be raw copies, as they say on the collector apps. The third piece of documentation...
Joke's on you, Dow. There's no way you could get ENIAC 4 slabbed and back in your hands by the 30 days.
I would not be surprised what people are capable of doing for these books. None of that would shock me. Third piece of documentation that you need, third and final piece of documentation that you need to enter this contest is 1 photograph of you reading 1 copy of ENIAC. Book's got to be open, I got to be able to see the interior pages, and you looking at them. Those are the 3 pieces of documentation that you need, and that means that if you slabbed your books, cannot enter this drawing. If you sold your books, if you flipped them, cannot enter this drawing. I'm hoping that this would maybe entice a few people out there to actually open up the books that they've bought and read them. Because, again, I don't feel like that's going to be the majority of people who buy Bad Idea books, and that makes me intensely sad. How many people, it feels like, would me saying, read these books, is like them hearing, please set this $100 bill on fire. I don't like that. I don't like that idea. So we are going to take another $1,000 book and hopefully bargain and plead with people to actually read these comic books that some very talented people worked incredibly hard to make.
Now, that contest is open to anyone who buys the book.
Absolutely anybody.
So if you buy it off if you buy all 4 copies off the shelf and are not a subscriber, great. If you are a subscriber, you have a chance to enter a second copy.
I suppose, yeah. I will allow people to enter twice. Subscribers can enter twice.
I am going to up the ante for
Patrick's going to sign the copy of Hero Trade.
For every page you tear out of any of your ENIACs and bring back in, I'll give you 5 extra entries.
Wow, that sounds
I'm kidding.
Horrible.
That is not true. I will not let you do that.
If you let Patrick punch you in the stomach,
Also, there's a third contest.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to draw a mustache on a character in everybody's copies of the book, but it'll be a different copy, a different character for everybody.
Uh-huh.
It's not like Find Grubzo and Kaiju Max, because
Sure.
Grubzo is always like in one place for
Each
everybody.
one's unique.
So you can find the mustache.
Nice. So yeah, those are the 2 hero trade contests that we're going to be doing.
Free.
The 2 official hero trade contests that we're going to be doing as a store, and then 1 unofficial one that Patrick's going to be running on the side. And yeah, I hate that I have to basically give away $2,000 to try and get people to pick up their subscriptions and read their comic books. But that's, again, it's kind of where we're at in 2021. That's the end of the rope that I'm on, is that this is what I'm willing to cede to people to hopefully get them to buy the comics that they've ordered and then read them. I feel like it's like I'm bribing a child to remember to breathe. Like, that's where I feel like I'm at with this.
I would also like to thank the good people at Bad Idea for the opportunity to do these contests.
Potentially, we don't know. Who knows where these copies of the Hero Trade came from?
That's true. They did just kind of show up.
I don't know.
But I mean,
It's a mystery.
we had openly discussed loudly in the store, had we actually gotten a copy, how we would have raffled it off to people,
Yeah.
rather than
We weren't just going to sell
keep it for ourselves. And you know how people are listening at all times. Do you know how many times Siri came on today to ask me what I meant when I was talking to Gina about Spider-Verse figures? Twice. The answer is twice.
I was actually waiting for one of your devices to beep.
So
thinking you
so
had
was
just
I,
triggered it.
actually. Yeah. So was I. But I didn't call it out as specifically as I would normally to get Siri's reaction.
Yeah. So, folks, long story short, please read Bad Idea comics. Don't just buy them, read them. Please read them. Please read them.
So, along the lines of a contest or a raffle, I had an idea.
Okay.
What if we started doing like I don't know how we could keep this up monthly, but a fun monthly raffle for some like really great collectible that we have.
Like what?
Well, I have an idea of what the first one would be, but I don't want to say it.
Okay.
But it would be something that I think people would be excited to get.
Okay.
And we would just limit the tickets to like $1 or something. And we could choose a different charity to take part in every month.
Okay.
If you want to, and this is terrible audio, but if you want to look at that book that is horizontal on that middle shelf, that might give you an indication. For example, if it was a single issue, that may have
Okay.
something like that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. We've done raffles and stuff before, and it's usually pretty hard to remember to do them.
Right, but like if we could do, if it's a regular thing, like, oh hey, here's the February raffle, here's the March raffle,
Sure.
so people come to expect it and know that it's there.
Okay.
And I don't expect this to be a thing where people are donating thousands of dollars every month.
Either. I mean, this isn't what Patrick's pointing at is not like a life-size Batman or something.
Right,
like
right,
that.
yeah,
Like,
just
that's not
something,
what this is.
and that's why the buy-in is $1.
Sure. Okay.
Like, because it's like if you get it, oh my god, I got this great thing for $1.
Right.
If you lost, it's $1.
Sure.
Can't even get a lottery ticket for $1.
I guess I don't know. I never looked.
Of course, the payout is usually a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully more than what you were pointing at as a potential winning.
But
item.
I mean, it's the item is subjective based off of how people
Okay.
think about it, and I don't have a lineup of items that it would be.
Okay.
I just thought that it would be something we could try,
Sure.
and a good way to focus on other parts of the community that may need a little attention.
Okay.
I mean, on the one hand, it seems like how many times are you at a grocery store or a fast food place and like, oh, do you want to round it up to this much for this charity?
Sure.
And every time I think, no, I donate on my own.
Sure.
But when it's, oh, I actually want that thing,
Right.
then I don't mind putting the money in.
Sure.
And it's also self-serving because, yeah, challengers would get the credit for the donation, but in truth, you're giving money to try to get a thing.
Sure.
So I don't know. It was just an idea I had, and I
Sure.
debated whether or not I should pitch it to you on the podcast. But why not?
Why not? I'm just sitting here.
Why not? To talk about some actual business part of this business podcast,
Okie dokie.
which, I mean, it's all part of our business, but as we're recording this, it is January 22nd, and unbelievable, our corporate and individual taxes have already been filed for the 2020 calendar year.
Yeah.
That has never happened before.
I frankly don't believe it. I have not seen the proof of this. So,
You literally have. You got an email.
I got an email. I don't know where it's from. I don't know how many accounts you have.
Sure.
I don't know.
It has never happened before. Corporate taxes are due March 15th as opposed to April 15th for individual.
Yeah.
And for the past several years, we've had difficulties with different accountants getting things done on time. And I want to point out that I've never turned in our material late. I always turned it on time. There was one year where I had to be reminded because I didn't, it was the first year I didn't know that they were due in March. I'm like, yeah, you'll get it by the end of March. Like, no, you need it before March. Like,
yeah.
Oh, so I had to hustle it up. But it was a very trying year to do all the bookkeeping because we started 2020 with 2 stores. We ended with 1. The money isn't just Challenger's money. It's split between 2 different stores. And there were 3 separate books we had to keep. One for blue, one for red, and one for both combined.
Right.
And then the amount of paperwork at the end of the year to put all that together and then to give options like, hey, how do you want it?
Right.
How is everything done?
But Patrick's a dynamo.
I mean, I do this stuff. I don't enjoy it. I really hate it, but it has to get done.
And you did a great job.
And thank you. And
I'll say it.
after last year's, dare I say, tax debacle, we were using a new attorney that was recommended to us by a comics professional. And I don't begrudge him at all because if you've never had a bad experience with them, why wouldn't you do it?
Sure.
We had nothing but bad experiences.
Oh, God.
We turned everything in.
Literally the worst experiences.
We turned everything in February. Obviously, there was a pandemic. Corporate taxes didn't get filed until middle of the year. Individual taxes got filed well after the extended deadline because of the pandemic. When again, everything was turned in early February.
Right.
So Dal and I were each hit with over $1,000 in late
Massive
fees.
penalties. And
Yeah.
that's on top of a big tax bill. So it was my tax bill for the year basically doubled. Thanks. Good work, everybody.
Yeah. So this year we have yet another new accountant, and I do feel that when I'm dealing with business professionals like attorneys, like accountants, I'm always on my back foot, and my time is nowhere near as valuable as theirs.
Mm-hmm. Even though you're the client.
Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times in an email exchange or a phone call, someone will say, hey, do you have this piece of information? I'm like, yeah, I sent it to you, at the start of this, last month, whatever. And they always say, all right, we'll send it again. And I always resent that because it's like, now I have to waste more of my time. But the point is, if I don't waste my time, they'll have to do it themselves, and then I'll get billed for that.
Yeah, or it'll take way longer because that you're not a priority.
I want to say 90% of the time when someone has said, yeah, can you send me this? All I think of is, I already did.
Uh-huh.
And all you ever get from me is a forwarded email from that original
Here's
send.
when I sent it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was some small miscommunications already with the current accountant, but when it came time to get down to business, everything got done. Everything got done in what seems to be a professional manner,
And that's great.
We're filed so far in advance for us that the government isn't even issuing refunds yet. It's too soon.
Uh-huh. We're right at the head of the line, though.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So it's a weird feeling, and I said to you afterwards, I said, it was still a couple hours of work today, but it didn't feel like it was that bad. And then I realized, oh no, that's because of all of the hours I've spent every month doing the monthly paperwork, and then at the end of the year putting it all together. The reason it was painless and quick this time is because I did all the work.
Right.
So I felt a little bit more. I've talked about this a little bit more than I normally do, but because it never works right.
Because you're happy this time.
Yeah, and I was going to say it never goes in our favor. It's not a question of going in our favor. It's just a question of going.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of still can't believe it, so I'm just reveling in it a little more by
nice.
vocalizing it.
Nice.
Yeah, but like you, I'll be ready to. As a matter of fact, I was what I meant to say to finish that was I'll be ready to find fault in or like wait for the other shoe to drop. Not find fault. That's the wrong way to say it. But I'm expecting something to go wrong, and even later in the day yesterday, I went through everything in a little more detail because I'm like, wait a minute, what about this?
Uh-huh.
Oh no, there they are. Okay, but what about no? That's there too. Yeah, no, it's done right.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will see how this professional relationship progresses. And also, it was less expensive than any accountant we've used before.
Which is great. That's great.
Yeah, so we'll see. I do admit that when I thought this was going to be an in-person visit, and I had said, hey, do you want to come to this? You're like, no. I thought, you should really go to this. You should really like see how this stuff all works. But I didn't say that out loud.
Sure. Well, you sort of did. And then I'm like, yes, but maybe next year when it's not a pandemic.
But then it got canceled, and it was a virtual meeting anyway.
I
So there
mean,
you go.
I'm not opposed to, being more involved in that side of the business. It was just I don't really feel comfortable doing that now in 2021.
I was going to make a joke about you waiting outside all night to get a robot toy, but you didn't. I'd be lying.
Or didn't.
My favorite part of the whole thing was afterwards, we had reason to call Kent to do something at the store, and he, both of us had contacted Kent, and you're like, "Oh, do you just want to do it?" And I just said, "Haven't I done enough today? Let me just pass this one thing off to you. You can do it."
Well, I'd asked that because at the time you were like, well, he texted me and I've got to tell him something. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, if you, like, I had a thing I needed to do, and it sounded like you had a thing you needed to do. So I was just like, you can do the thing I need to do. I don't know if I can do the thing you need to do, but
Sure.
we both ended up talking to him anyway.
Here's the thing I discovered today, and it was driving me crazy by the end of the day because earlier in the day I saw a note from Diamond that basically said, hey, here's the WandaVision pops. They're available now. Mm-hmm. Like, in case you missed them, they're available now. You should have them. Mm-hmm. And I thought, we don't have them. We're still waiting for from Southern Hobby. So I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? Did you get that Diamond email?
I do.
Okay, I don't know what happened to it because I couldn't find it the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to go look for it?
No, it's a moot point.
Okay.
So I decided to look. I'm like, well, how many do we have on order from Southern Hobby? So I log into Southern Hobby. Every single WandaVision pop is listed as out of stock.
Sure. That sounds about right.
But it doesn't show whether we were down for anything. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, did we just order these from Diamond and not from Soho? So I looked up on Diamond, and we didn't order any of them from Diamond.
Sure.
So I'm assuming that they were, if you recall, a lot of pop vinyls got canceled from Southern Hobby, but we never got like a master list of what was.
Sure.
So I think we're just boned on those pops because by the time I went back to Diamond and ordered all of them, they're back ordered.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I want to say some of them, I don't know if it was this one specifically, but a lot of pop orders that we have to place are ones where we don't get the art. And then on top of that, the Marvel ones are almost always like Eternals 1, Eternals 2, Eternals 3. And it's like, I don't... What am I ordering?
And that's what these were on Southern Hobby's website. But we'd seen some of them.
Some of them, yeah. I mean, it's... I feel like the WandaVision ones, when I saw them today, I'm like, I feel like I've seen all these before.
Yeah, and that was the point. The point was, hey, you've already ordered, like... But these are available right now if you want to restock because the show's out.
Sure.
So you saw I threw an order in, but we're not going to get anything.
Well, I don't really care.
What did you think of those? I forgot what they were called. Like the Flash Gordon and the Tarzan and the Phantom figures.
The
Hero something? Hero the Hero?
Vitruvian Hacks is the company, and this is their... Like, they did a bunch of fantasy figures, and now this is their, like, pulp heroes and...
It's like Marvel
line.
Legends, but for all of those
Yeah,
characters.
Boss Fight Studios does them. I think that's them.
Yeah.
They were guys who've worked in the toy industry for decades.
Not to be confused with Boss Logic.
Correct. Who is a cover artist. I saw that you got one or two.
I ordered a Phantom for me.
Yeah. I don't think we would have much interest in them. It's all licenses that are very old.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel like that's a lot of our audience anymore.
What I would have
people who
done...
care about the Flash Gordon movie or Tarzan newspaper strips or
What
whatever.
it would have been. I would have gotten Tarzan, Flash Gordon, not movie.
Uh-huh.
Maybe a Ming.
You wouldn't have gotten the Timothy Dalton figure?
Which one was that?
It was one of the Flash Gordon ones. It was the Flash Gordon movie one.
Timothy Dalton? I thought the Flash Gordon movie figure was Sam Jones. No, he was... No, yeah, Sam Jones.
Well, but it was one of the characters from the Flash Gordon movie was played by Timothy Dalton.
Okay.
I don't know any of the characters' names.
There was also no picture shown, but there was a Phantom on Hero, which was his horse.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Devil, his dog. Then they had a woman Phantom, two versions of her, and a different color man Phantom.
Okay.
But I didn't order any of those.
Sure.
So, like, those are things like, just... The only reason I was interested in maybe carrying them for the store was because the quality looked a lot better. Like, we're never going to carry reaction figures, because I think those are... I was going to say a negative word. I don't think they're very good.
Sure.
And I don't... Even though they're licenses that may not have figures elsewhere, I'd rather have no representation than those.
Yeah,
but these looked like decent action figures.
And Boss Fight Studios has been around for a while. They started with Kickstarters, and they've just been releasing figures since then. They've got a really good track record. For me, it's just a matter of the licenses that they're releasing through Diamond are ones where I don't feel like there's a ton of interest to have for the shelf.
And I'm fine. I can't. I was just wondering. Sure. Did you like the email response I gave to that manga company who emailed us in the middle of the night?
I did. Yeah, somebody had months ago been like, can we put up a poster for our thing? And it's like, if it's 11 by 17, I got room for it, that's fine. And then months later, they're like, okay, instead, can we do a much larger poster and something that directs to... And at that point, I'm just like, no. And you had already gotten back to them and said, no, forget it.
They wanted to have us be part of their $10 subscription service, where for $10 you get access to all of their things on a website. We would direct them to the website in-store, and they would need our help in collecting the money.
Not doing
but
that.
Then we get X percentage back, and I just immediately said, we're not interested in this program.
Nope. My limit of how I want to help somebody who is not an actual part of my business is an 11 by 17 poster. Beyond that, where it's buy into our scheme, no, I'm okay.
Where you're buying digital content as well. Mm-hmm. Also, I went and checked out their product and was not excited for it.
Sure.
Here's an email I got today, and I wonder if you got one as well. It was not to it was to my individual email address.
Okay.
And it was somebody, and I wish I could read it, but I can't because my phone is in use. Mm-hmm. It was basically somebody saying, hey, you're awesome. I just found Contested Challengers, and it's great, and they want me to teach a podcasting class.
I did not get that one.
It would be like 7 to 20-minute classes. Uh-huh. And it would be 3 to 10 minutes per class.
Is what we do reproducible? Is that
right?
What?
Well, no, it wouldn't. It's not. I mean, I don't know if it's just like about our business or about podcasting or whatever.
Step 1: know somebody for decades.
Yeah.
Step 2: what?
But also, a part of me is like, I can't tell if this is a form letter or not. It was Dear Patrick. And like
we've gotten a bunch of emails where it's like, hey, I found your podcast, I really love it. Here's a guest for you that can talk all about
healthcare products,
animal husbandry, and it's like, you have not listened to our podcast.
But this one went a step further. It was, hey, I just found your podcast, Contest of Challengers, insert name here.
I mean, it definitely feels like it's part of a spreadsheet that's getting plugged.
Well, sure, and also the compensation part is 30 to 50% of what they earn from it.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Exposure. Nope.
Yeah, and the one hand, like, I didn't at all for even a second think it was real. Uh-huh. But I thought, like, could I even do this if someone asked me to? Like, if somebody outright said, hey, we'll pay you this much per episode. Uh-huh. Could you teach a class? Like, for example, Dal, what if somebody came to you and said, hey, do you want to do a TED Talk? We can give you 50 minutes.
Okay.
Would you do it?
I mean, maybe. I don't know that I have 50 minutes worth of material. Or, God, maybe I do and I just don't even know it.
What would you talk about? I didn't give you a subject.
I know you didn't. I'm sure I could come up with something.
Like, that's just it. Like what would you offer?
But that's the thing. Like, someone specifically coming to you saying, teach a class on how to do a podcast. Like, if someone's like, teach a class...
They didn't say on how to do a podcast.
What did
they just said, we really love your podcast and think it would be great if you taught a class.
Oh, okay. I guess because of the way the sentence was structured, I thought The class that
I
you're
don't-
teaching was on podcasts.
That's what I assumed, and maybe I led you that way in the way I explained
Maybe
it.
the fact that the sentence is constructed so vaguely means that it's definitely a form letter and that they don't care what kind
Yeah.
of class you teach.
Yeah, I didn't like because
Because
honestly,
they're going to get 50 to 70% of the revenue that you bring in.
the line was something about our content would be perfect for their website,
Uh-huh.
and I thought I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this content is good for anybody's website except for ours.
Even then, that's a question mark.
I mean, I thought you'd say that, but where else would this go? What other website could this
We've
go on?
only had a few customers say they don't want to shop with us because of the podcast, so
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine.
Part of me is like, did you find this? Did you find our podcast? I wonder. If I was going to cold call somebody off of having listened to their podcast, I would definitely include a line like, I really like this bit.
Yeah, just some.
And I don't
tiny
care
tidbit.
if it's the only bit you listen to, like if
I
you
don't-
just
yeah,
jump to a random part.
if it's in the screen cap or something.
Yeah, whatever.
Fine.
Just a little extra effort.
I liked what you had to say about perfect and good. All right, great, thanks. All right, done.
So my point is,
Uh-huh.
I've been talking to people about comics on a podcast for, I don't know, this is technically our 13th year.
More of
Just calendar year.
sure.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So our 13th calendar year,
Yikes!
not full year
Unbelievable.
of this. And outside of our few patrons, I'm not getting paid. People should pay us. That's my point. Like, we are literally running clinics every week.
Yes, on how to be angry about your job.
I mean, I think that's what we're pretty well known for.
Yeah. I just want to mention that Patrick had contributed to the aforementioned David Harper, mentioned earlier in this podcast.
Yeah.
Patrick had contributed to
Oh,
an article that was a look back at 2020 from the mouths of several comics retailers.
you know, I keep forgetting to promote that online.
And because he's a subscriber to David's website and podcast, I was able to read the whole article, and it was really interesting because it's
I think everybody should subscribe. If you're a comic book fan, I think David Harper and Sketch.com. That's SKTCHD.com. He doesn't do reviews. He's a one of the only aforementioned comic journalists.
yeah. But this was an article all about kind of how comics retail was in 2020 from the mouths of retailers, and so he talked to Patrick and he talked to people at like Big Bang and at Space Cadets and so on, and it's kind of looking at the whole year and how things change with COVID and everything else. And Patrick needed, I think, 2 different annotations to specify that he's not usually this angry. And that was David's way of saying, like, this is how serious this issue is, that even Patrick Brower, the level-headed one, is kind of getting a little heated. And I love the idea that you did come off as not, like, unreasonably angry, but definitely as someone who was kind of fed up.
I literally, there was a point where I wrote in one of my answers that I just erased a paragraph. I have to take a breath. I'm getting too angry.
There was not only to very briefly mention this because it's the end of the podcast and you can edit it out. I was posting something for an episode of Kamen Rider I was watching, and I'd started off by saying that
Thanks for listening.
I wasn't. I didn't like the episode. I didn't think it was good, but it didn't make me mad.
Thank you.
But then 4 paragraphs later, I had to do a parenthetical where I'm like, no, I guess it did make me mad. I really am getting angry. The more I talk about this episode, the angrier I'm getting. So
It didn't make me mad until now.
yeah. The more I recount it and how I felt about it, I am angry. So yeah, I recognize
That's why
that.
people go to therapy, Dal, because really it's when you're talking about it to someone else, sometimes you actually do see it
you discover something, and I think you had that experience where you were trying to write about a publisher or about something that happened in the industry, and you're like, well, let me just lay out the facts, and then 5 sentences later it's all capital letters and multiple exclamation marks, and you're like, wait a second, I am unbelievably angry about this still, even though it happened 7 months ago.
My favorite answer to one of his questions was, with everything that's happening with DC, how do you look at them as a partner in the future? Mm-hmm. And I just said that a partnership implies people working together, and DC does not care about us at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paraphrasing, but I said it more eloquently in the article.
People can go subscribe to Sketched, and they can go read the whole thing for themselves.
Which, honestly, I don't know why you're complaining, Dow, because just the horrible things you say about DC are
because I didn't get mentioned.
They're the most embarrassing part of comics retail right now.
It's true. People who are mad at DC are everything that's wrong with this industry. The only thing that's wrong with this industry are retailers not thanking DC for taking advantage of them.
There are times where you and I can get extremely negative on this podcast, but
those are just episodes with numbers in them. Go on.
Literally, we just got a email from Bad Idea asking what our pre-orders are at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you place them? Shouldn't they know?
No, our subscriber numbers.
Oh, okay. I thought you... Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, boy, if they don't know what we just ordered, this whole system is not working.
Yeah.
What did you guys want again?
Ironically, we haven't gotten billed for those yet, and I thought it was going to happen faster. Hey, before we go,
Patrick.
I wanted to lead in from Bad Idea Comics to talk about Berserker, #1.
Mm-hmm.
From Boom, because Boom has just announced a bunch of extra covers to it.
Sure
some
did.
Chromium covers.
Is there really a Chromium one?
Yeah, there's 2.
That's fine.
I'm sorry, foil, not Chromium per
Okay.
se. The C and the D covers are Chromium, but here's the important thing.
Uh-huh.
Because of the printing process of those are going to be late.
Yeah, well, because the alternative is you would have already had to pre-order them. Like, that's what they've always done with the Power Rangers foil covers.
Yeah.
You always FOC those a week or two before you FOC the regular cover because it's a longer process.
So, since you're doing FOCs this weekend,
Yeah.
I wonder if
I guess I will.
we shouldn't revisit the quantities we were going for.
Sure.
I think demand may be higher than we thought.
Okay. It's Boom guaranteed, so it's, I mean...
And now they've added a vast number of incentive covers.
They have.
25, 50, 100.
There's at least a 500 and then 1,000.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like a 200 or 250, but it wouldn't surprise me.
We literally had someone today ask if we were getting the 1 in 1,000 cover and if they can have dibs.
Well, and the thing that I loved about that was the kind of casual, like, hey, if you're getting that, can you just toss that aside for me? Can I toss aside the 1 in 1,000 signed Keanu Reeves variant? That's going to need a little bit more than that.
And I responded with, for real, if you want to order 1,000 copies of the regular cover, we'll just give you the 1 in 1,000.
You'll get it for free.
Yeah.
That's always the policy.
And they responded with...
you want a high-level incentive variant? Sure.
With a basically no effing way.
Sure, which, again, I mean, that's... Like, I don't remember what the cover price is for Berserker #1, because I know it's an oversized issue.
Yeah.
But let's assume it's $5.
Yeah.
I would not sell the 1 in 1,000 variant for less than $3,000.
Of course not. Yeah, why would you?
I'm just saying, like, for people who are wondering, what would a 1 in 1,000 variant go for? Minimum $3,000.
Yeah.
It's to the degree that even Boom had to say, okay, we do affidavit returns. If you are getting the 1 in 1,000 variant, we are going to audit your returns.
Fine.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's... Because there are stores that are, like, we are not even going to do that. Like, knowing that we could return every unsold copy of Berserker and still keep the 1 in 1,000 variant, we're still not doing it because, man, again, let's say that's a $5 book. We are laying out, like, $2,200. You better be able to flip that book.
Yeah.
Man, if you can't flip that thing for, like, at least $2,000, you are in huge trouble.
I know that I just told you to reevaluate what we were getting on FOCs. Not up to 1,000.
I was not planning on doing 1,000 copies. There was never even going to be a discussion about should we do 1,000 copies of Berserker to get the signed Keanu Reeves variant.
But my sister-in-law loves Keanu.
A lot of people love Keanu, and he does not do a lot of signings. So, you know,
yeah,
this is definitely a thing. But I mean, again, yeah, if someone wants to come to us, I have a number in my head, and I just said it out loud of what that thing's going to cost. If you are fine with that and prepaying for it, shoot us an email.
Yeah. Well, most likely...
Do it before 5 o'clock on Monday, because that's how
yeah, that's true.
Like, if you're hearing this and it's after January 25th, too late.
Yep.
Missed your shot.
Also, as an incentive, literally as an incentive, you would get... You know, the corresponding number of 1 in 50s, 1 in 20...
I don't know that I would. I mean, if you were outright buying 1,000 copies, yeah, sure.
That's what I mean.
But I'm saying if you were just like, I want to buy the Keanu variant for $3,000.
Oh no, yeah, no, that's not what I was
get
saying.
the Keanu variant for $3,000.
No,
that's
no,
what
I
you
was
get.
talking about if you buy the 1,000 copies,
Sure.
you would get the corresponding all the variants,
Sure.
all the variants.
Sure. Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, for sure.
It's been a while since we've actually had an event. There were events we had that needed to get canceled. Obviously, they were smaller ones, more local or smaller books and things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird seeing an event up on the website now.
Is it on the website now?
Yeah, I took care of it all at like
sweet.
3 a.m.
I'll have to change around some of the sliders and stuff on the front page to make sure it populates.
Well, it's on that side column you have going.
Are you okay with that? Well, is it? Oh, is it?
But yeah, it's definitely there.
Okay.
If you can pull it up on your phone now, you'll see it.
I mean, it's not going to look right on my phone, so I'll have to check on my computer.
So I did. I spent way too much time working on the header image because I wanted to do something different.
Sure.
And every design I came up with, I hated.
Yep.
So I just went back and used the basic design from years past.
Sure.
Although I don't know the font you used, so I had to use a different one.
Oh, Opine Heavy usually?
No, it's the long, tall, thin, the I.love.u.
Yeah.
Because I plugged Opine Heavy in, I'm like, definitely not that one.
TW something or other.
Okay. Well, I found an approximation of it.
Sure.
And I did it and posted it, and then I realized, on the website, right in the center of the bottom, is always going to be the Challenger's logo that's built in from the site.
Right.
And that obscured a bunch of information. So I needed to redo it, and it looks like it's phrased a little bit clunky. Like instead of saying sale shirt designed by Anissa Espinoza, it was Anissa Espinoza designed our sale shirt
Sure.
to keep that center part open.
Sure.
So in case you're like, is that clunky? No, I needed to not have it blocked.
Makes sense.
But we would have definitely been doing events with Sal Abernathy for his upcoming Hostage book, as well as he has a thing backup in this upcoming
That's right.
Marvel
Yeah.
4. We would have done something with Stephanie Meidad for her new graphic novel,
Sure.
with Andrea Bell for her new graphic novel.
Yeah.
Like all of those are things that we would have.
We probably would have reached out to DWJ for Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, all these things.
Seeley for his whichever book from Aftershock, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, everybody we know.
His fantasy
basically,
book with Freddie Williams the second.
second.
It looks real fun.
Yeah, it's set in Chicago.
Oh, speaking of that, on
of
FOCs,
Chicago.
there's is it Vault has a Shadow Doctor that's on FOCs?
I think it's Aftershock.
Aftershock? Okay. If you want to up that a little bit, because that is a true story from Chicago history.
Sure.
And I think that can get a lot of extra eyeballs on it.
Okie dokie.
Thanks.
You bet.
And I think that is enough business talk. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.
Back to Adamant. So,
Yeah, I do have the Adamant Live Peel sections of the BBC, which is a pretty rare live, not bootleg, it was official release, but
sure.
it's a pretty
I mean,
rare.
Peel sessions are always official releases.
Yeah. It's not one of my favorites, but
I have a wedding present box set. I think I still do of all their Peel sessions because John Peel was a huge fan of theirs.
Oh, wow.
So, like they did, it's like 6 discs of Peel sessions over the years where
Wow.
they would just come in every few years and just do another 15 songs.
How many bands do you have discs of that change their name from a band name to a person name? Like Adam and the Ants became Adamant.
I don't really think
Alice Cooper was the name of the band, and then it became the name of the person.
Sure. Yeah, I don't really think anybody.
Say Hi to Your Mom became,
Say Hi.
which is now that guy's legal name, right?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It was Eric Elbogen, but now it's just Say Hi, because it's obviously so hard to pronounce, and Say Hi is just way easier.
God Save You, Black Emperor is just now Emperor.
Is it? Okay.
No, I made that up.
know.
I thought you might have just filled in your own. I paused
No,
to
I
give
didn't
you.
know this was a fake thing. I was just like, tell me more.
No, that's a real band.
I know, but I didn't realize. I don't know enough of them to know whether or not they changed their name
sure.
or not, so I thought this
Sure.
was... I didn't know it was a rib.
Yeah, okay, we're good.